Welcome to Well-Traveled Life with Jonathan and Jennifer. We're in the Conflict Islands, which is a group of privately owned islands which are still a part of Papua New Guinea. These 21 uninhabited islands spread over 925 acres, which were named after the HM survey ship, the Conflict, not because of any particular fight or war that happened on the land. This was the ship that chartered the islands in 1886. As of today, Gowrie-Smith is an Australian businessman who resides in Britain. His $25 million purchase of the islands in 2003 was part of his plan to create a protected wilderness around the world. Specifically, he was interested in preserving turtles, which are endangered and have a breeding and nesting area on the islands. In September of 2022, Mr. Gowrie-Smith began negotiations with the Australian government in consideration of the potential sale of the islands. And because they are a part of Papua New Guinea, there are questions about the title of the islands. Since independence, which Papua New Guinea got in 1975, the land is reserved for ownership by the state of Papua New Guinea for PNG citizens. If it is not in customary, which is sort of like tribal or clan ownership by the indigenous people who have lived there, and there's a freehold title, then Mr. Gowrie-Smith must convert those to state leases, and any sale would need to be approved by the Minister of Lands. The clans who claim the territory are pushing the PNG government to restore their rights to the islands, although there isn't any known history of habitation of the islands by indigenous people. There has been discussion that the Nature Conservancy or some other conservation organization may be interested in their purchase, as they are that nesting grounds for the endangered Hawksbill and Green Turtles. But as recently as just a few days before we were at the islands, there was continued controversy over the fact that Mr. Gowrie-Smith is trying to sell the islands on the open market. The PNG and Australian governments would both like for him to avoid selling to China because of the proximity to Australia and because of major shipping lanes that are right next to the islands. But that's the history and the politics and the economics. Let's talk a little bit about the islands themselves. On the main island of Panasesa, there is a runway, 6 bungalows, a main lodge with a restaurant, and 2 docks for small boats. Although 6 to 8 day all-inclusive trips priced at about $5,000 a day per person are organized from Alotau or from Port Moresby, cruise ships also use the islands as a tender port. The permanent staff on the island operate excursions and activities for visitors. They have planted gardens in the center of the island to avoid salt from the sea spray, and they run the turtle nursery, as well as tend to the upkeep of the islands. Guests can enjoy a variety of activities. So down at the beach, you've got a medical center, restrooms, a cafe, a little bar, some picnic tables, a souvenir market, and of course the beach. At the beach, they've got glass bottom boat rentals, kayak rentals, stand-up paddleboard rentals. They also have snorkeling equipment available for rental that you can use right off the shore, or you can book a snorkeling tour and they have a platform that they'll take you to.
Hi, I'm Nick Rarua, here at Conflict Island. The difference between the reef here and the tour we do without the swimming platform is we'll say like it's a bit dull because not much adventure down here than you down at the platform.
Do you see different fish?
Different species of fish and also different types of corals.
Turtles anywhere?
Yes, just in the lagoon you'll find the juvenile one.
Thanks so much.
You're most welcome.
I went snorkeling off the reef and this is what I found. Cool shells, and this shell had a little bit of a treat inside. So this little guy is living on the inside. This is the reason we don't take shells with us when we go. He's a beauty. Can you see the orange on there? Yeah, of course, but then can you see that purple? That is pretty awesome. I think he sees himself. Crazy. Alright, off he goes. So I took him back out offshore and let him rest in the sand, made sure I left him exactly the way I found him, and covered him up a little bit so that hopefully the next person who finds him will let him also live. He's had a great life. This is the land of white sands, clear waters, fluorescent corals, and exotic fish. As a cruise ship passenger, it feels like the South Pacific's minimalist version of a private island. One word of caution to visitors: it's hot here. Not only are temperatures warm, but the sun is bright. Use protective clothing, reef-safe sunscreen, and bring water so you can stay hydrated. I was fortunate enough to get the manager of the island excursions to talk to us a little bit about the options that you can take advantage of while you're on the conflict islands.
Vina Dobin. Well, I have a mixed parentage. My mom's from Milne Bay, which is from the Misima Island, east of the conflict islands, and that is the main island of all the islands here. My dad's from Central Province. We were brought up here, went to school here, and stayed in Alota all our lives. We do have long stay visits here, so we have like 6 days, 7 days long stay visits, and we have guests coming out here. We have about 6 bungalows out here that can accommodate. We have our main house, which is right opposite of us here. We have our restaurant at the top, and we have our office, which has all the administrative work here. Now, I only come out for the cruise ship days to assist with all the tours, the coordination, but I am based in Alotau as their logistics and operations as well, because we do have tours in town. We also have the Battle of Milne Bay tour that we run off in town using our vessel, the Undersea Explorer. Oh, the tours we offer here, we have the reef snorkel tour, which is a platform that's placed out where the reef is, and then we get the snorkelers out there for about an hour, 15 minutes or so. We have the private picnic. Private picnic consists of a private picnic where you have your packed lunch, assorted beverages packed, and then you go out there for about 2 hours or so, and then you get brought back. You're taken out on a private island, and then you're left there to enjoy yourself, and then you get brought back. We also have the glass bottom boat. Mostly it's all about the reef. It talks more about the reefs out there, the fish, different species and all that can be seen out here. We have the UE, or the Undersea Explorer, the Conflict Islands cruise. That takes you around like for 2 hours, talking about the islands and basically the history of the 21, 22 islands here. Yeah. And then we have the walking tours. It's a tour that walks right around, not right, but through the island. You have a couple of stops on the way there that they do have to talk about. Like one of them is the Turtle Hut, and of course the Copper Hut, and then those are the main stops, and then the airstrip. That we have the direct hire. So if no one's booked a tour on the ship, then they get to come down and hire an equipment like a snorkel equipment or a stand-up paddle board or a kayak, and then they get this for 1 hour and then return it here. Okay. We also have a bar. We also have a souvenir shop and our kitchen.
So the items in your souvenir shop, where do they come from?
We get them done overseas, printed overseas and shipped in. Yeah. And it's all Conflicts logo, everything is Conflicts. Yeah. And we also have the local carvings that we sell out here again, that we get like mostly all turtles, sharks and all that. Yeah. And the popular ones are, they call them the walking sticks. Yes. Of different sizes.
If you're coming by cruise, all shore excursions would be booked on the boat and paid for through your cruise account. If you aren't doing an excursion and you're just using a kayak or a stand-up paddleboard, eating at the cafe or getting a drink at the bar, or you're just renting some snorkel equipment, you would do that on the island. You wouldn't go through the boat for that. But again, you would use a credit or debit card as it is cashless. Watch for brilliant sunsets. You are in paradise on the Coral Sea. For a really deep dive into Papua New Guinea culture, look at our video from Alotau.